about social media and how it affects our daily lives? All right. Those are relatively simple questions with relatively simple answers. The harder piece of this as a parent is when you combine those questions in this digital age, in this world flooded with social media, is how you navigate that as a parent. Next slide, please. Our children and us, we have a lot of opportunity that we didn't have 30, 40, 50 years ago with electronic devices. We have iPads, we have computers, we have smartwatches, we have Nintendo Switches, PlayStations, the list goes on and on. The other side of that, in the last 10 or 15 years, we have a lot of social media platforms. TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, and a whole bunch I'm forgetting about and probably don't even know about. I'm sure my kids would tell me I don't know. Next slide, please. So before I get into this, one of the things that I do think about, this isn't a bash on social media and electronic devices, because I honestly feel bad for my kids and the youth out there. I can't imagine, and when I think back to when I was 15 to 18 years old, I can't imagine if all my friends had a camera in their pocket that they could snap a picture of me doing something maybe I shouldn't have, and there was a lot of that. And they could instantly put that out on some platform to the masses. That is a scary thought. I also can't imagine my parents being able to track me on their phone on some social media or some platform like Life 360 and know where I really was. Also a scary thought. So I do have some empathy for the kids of today, but that's the world we live in. And why my concern? I'll introduce you to my family. So on the right there, or I guess your left, is my son Maddox, age 15. My daughter is all the way on the left. Sorry, I was getting that screwed up. Naya, age 13, and my son, age 11 as of yesterday morning. And the major conversations, I'm sorry, his name is Jax. Not named after our city, by the way. That was decided before we moved here. One of the major conversations in my household, only a close second to how we're going to get the kids around and scheduling and all that, is on social media, is how our kids use the devices. Some of the questions that come up are, how much screen time should they have? What social media platform should they have? What ages should they have them? Are we monitoring them closely enough? Do we know what the hell we're talking about? Those are questions that happen all the time, along with the day-to-day of, hey, go do your homework. You've been on your iPad for an hour. Next slide, please. Again, this is not bashing electronics or social media because there's a lot of positives. Our kids and us, we have so much information right at our fingertips. My kids don't know an answer to a question. They can get on their phone, they can Google, they can ask Siri. They can scream across the house to Alexa and say, who was the 22nd president of the United States, or who won the most gold medals in the 1980 Olympics, and immediately get an answer, which is pretty incredible. They can have fun with their friends and even be interactive on their PlayStations, Xboxes, and that's not a bad thing, as long as it's checked. They can capture moments. They can capture in pictures something that is really cool or something their friends are doing, and that's not a bad thing either at times, as long as they're capturing the right things. And then we have the ability to constantly communicate with them. We talk about their schedule. We can, if they finish a practice early, we can go get them early, and that's also an amazing thing. And the electronics of today are great. Next slide, please. But with every positive, there's always a flip side. If left unchecked, you can really have a problem, and there are serious consequences. Have any of you seen the Netflix documentary, Social Dilemma? It's a good one. There's a lot of really, really smart people out there who have developed and worked for and whole teams that basically write algorithms to try to hook us and try to hook children on social media platforms. What's the next click? What's the next swipe? And it just keeps feeding you what you want. So it can become addictive. And you see that and you read about it all the time. That's not new information. It can lead to physical health issues. Kids who aren't getting out and getting enough exercise. It can lead to obesity. It can lead to, we don't even know what, eye strain from us all looking at our devices all the time. And it can also lead to, and probably more scary for a parent, are mental health issues. Nobody on social media puts, typically a bad picture that they don't look good, or it's always, hey, I'm doing this great thing. And there are kids looking at this stuff thinking, man, my life isn't so great. That person is so beautiful. And this stuff goes on, and it can ultimately lead to depression. There was a study in 2019 and then a study in 2022, independent studies, that showed that if a kid is on social media for more than 3 hours a day, they are twice as likely to end up depressed. If that's a good study, that's pretty alarming. And then you have the issues with cyberbullying and privacy and safety. Next slide, please. The pediatric recommendations, I looked this up last night, by the way, for screen time, 0 to 2 years old should not actually have any screen time except for video chatting. And by the way, we failed at all these as parents, or my wife and I. 2 to 5 years old, 1 hour of high quality educational videos or social media a day. And 6 to 12 years old, 2 hours per day. Next slide, please. However, like I said, we failed at this, but we've come up with our own conclusions as parents, my wife and I, and not saying that we are right, because this is, if anybody has the right answer on this stuff, please see me after this and let me know. But a few of the things we've done are setting limits and downtimes, right? So you have the ability to set how long they're on something, and when they're done looking at it, before they go to bed. Be vigilant, and I'll use an old military term for when I was in the military, trust but verify. So we want to give our kids the autonomy to grow and make the right choices, and they typically will, but verify. There's only so much privacy you have in my house. And then open communication. And this is probably the biggest thing, and this is the biggest thing with anything we're dealing with our kids, is having that open line of communication, talking about it, and letting them know they can talk to us about it. Thank you.